Hi, I'm Tiffany and I'm fresh out of the feds. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I'm Lisa and I'm not fresh out of the feds. What? Tiffany took a break today. She is doing something else, and I thought that this would be a really, really great opportunity to switch things up. And we're not going to talk about prison per se, although I'm sure we're going to, go in and out of that. But I brought along a really great friend of mine and guest. Her name is Rhonda Courtney.
Hi.
She's been in real estate for, oh my gosh, probably longer than me.
26 years.
Okay, so I'm 21.
Ooh.
And we've known each other on and off. Paths have crossed. She's had some stuff in her life with addiction and tragedy. And so we thought that we would switch it up a little bit and talk about addiction and how that affects families and friends. And so Rhonda, just take it away. I want to hear a little bit about you, or they want to hear a little bit about you and about how we met.
This call is from a federal prison.
Misunderstood, yeah. Judged by the cover. Misunderstood, yeah. From one to another.
So I've always known about you, and I wish that we would have been friends years ago because we had so much in common.
Yeah.
You
didn't know if you liked me back then.
I know. I know. But I do.
You love me now.
I love you now. But I wish I would have known you back then because we had similar lives. Like we were both, high top producing realtors, but we were also dealing with addiction.
Yep.
You were dealing with it, and my family was dealing with it too.
Yeah, back when I started 21 years ago, we were really kind of getting right in the thick of it because Tiffany, at that point when I got my license, I believe she had just been indicted federally, and she was still living in Texas, and we had just moved here at the time, and I just got my real estate license. So when I was moving up the ladder with real estate, nobody really knew that we were, as a family, we were suffering a lot because of that. So I didn't know what you were, and I think that that's very typical of a lot of families. Especially now on social media, I think people hide behind that facade of, life is great, everything's great, family's great. And I think that that's a big reason why it's so good to get this out. And I love that YouTube is around because you can actually be real and people can relate to that, because I didn't know a lot of what you were dealing with at the time either until we recently started talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that's going on behind the scenes in people's lives. Like, you don't know, here you are, you're selling real estate, everybody thinks you're at the top of your game.
Yep.
Everything's perfect, right?
They want to be you.
Yeah, they want to be me. But what they didn't understand is that I was dealing with a little brother that was addicted to meth.
And how old was he? How much younger was he than
he was
you?
16 years younger than me.
Okay.
We have different fathers, and his father was an alcoholic, and my stepfather died basically from alcohol and cigarettes at 50 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then my little brother Anthony was in the room when he died. It was just so terrible. Like, there's
How
so
old
many,
was he?
He was 9 when his dad died.
That's tragic.
And so he decided that, and my little brother was so cute. But he also was a little bit heavy, and he was bullied at school. And that's the one thing too. You can't bully people about their weight and do things. You don't know the lasting impact of how horrible that is. So my little brother basically turned to meth so that he could lose weight.
Wow. And at what age was that? Because he was 9 years old when your stepfather died.
He was 9 years old when my stepfather died, and he probably started doing meth when he was, I know he was about 14 or 15 when he started all this. He started, kind of smoking pot, got in trouble at school for that, and then he moved right into meth.
Wow.
And he just couldn't get off of it.
Meth does a lot of things, right? It gives you that superhuman feeling.
Right.
And you're not really depressed at the time when you first start doing it, right?
Yeah.
That all slides back after you've been doing it.
does.
And then you're not hungry. So this chubby kid all of a sudden starts losing weight, and he's probably looks cute.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight on it.
Yeah, getting attention.
Yeah.
And it numbed him.
It did.
Did he start drinking as well?
No, he wasn't a big drinker. His father was an alcoholic. Okay. But Anthony didn't really do a lot of alcohol. Now, a lot of other people in my family did.
Yeah.
And I joke, we always say go big or go home. You always say that.
Yeah.
And when I joke and I say to my family go big or go home, they all went home. And I'm talking they all died. They just, I guess in my family, and I joke around, I have a sense of humor, even though it is not funny.
Of course. Well,
but
that's how you deal with it.
Yeah, I deal with it with a humor a little bit, even though it's not funny. But pretty much everyone in my family that's been addicted to alcohol or drugs has passed.
Okay, so your mom never was, though?
No,
or was she?
No. Her father was an alcoholic too.
So how come you think it skipped her? Do you think that because her dad was an alcoholic that she saw the effects of that and she just wanted to steer away? Because I think that some kids, when they're growing up and they see that and they become teenagers, they say, okay, I saw that and I'm never going there. I'm going to be the overachiever, complete opposite.
Yeah. So my mom and her brother never drank.
Okay.
Even though their father was a raging alcoholic. Now my stepfather was an alcoholic and I witnessed that too. So I decided not to drink.
Okay.
Okay. And then my other brother, never is not a big drinker either.
Okay.
But Anthony, for some reason, that was his coping skill or his coping mechanism to drink or not to drink, to do drugs.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know why some people, I looked at it and I thought, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm not going to go down that road.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
So when did you start drinking?
Oh, I've never been a big, in fact, I will say this, I have never, ever drank alone. I go out, I can have a couple drinks socially.
Sure.
I have never, I never wanted to.
Yeah.
I have my other addictions. I have, I'm a stress eater and then I do a lot of retail therapy, but I also say my addictions don't hurt other people.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
They hurt my pants maybe because I
Sure.
overeat or something.
Right.
Or my shopping addiction,
Right.
But watching my family be so destructive with their addictions, I was like, you know what? I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, that was probably why my other brother and I never really got into it.
So when you're, so you had a stepdad. So
Yes.
when did your parents get divorced?
So they got divorced when I was 7 years old.
Okay. And how did that affect you?
I think it's really, really hard to be a child of divorce. But, at the same time, I was glad they got divorced because I didn't want to grow up with parents that were fighting all this time and then that be my role model for my relationships.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, it's you're staying for your kids, but what kind of example are you showing them?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Because when my parents got divorced, I was 3, my sister was 1, and my brother was 5. Yeah. My mother was 17 when she had my brother, 19 when she had me, and 21 when she had my sister. So she was a kid having kids. When she met my dad, I think she was 14, and he was 2 years older than her. Oh. And then he went into the service. Anyway, they were kids having kids, right? Yep. So they divorced when I was 3. But, the examples that you get when you're growing up, you always say, you want to do things different. But when you have certain examples as a child,
right,
you don't know any different. So it perpetuates, I feel like. Those relationships kind of spill out into your relationships as well.
100%.
Until you get to the age where you say, wow, oh my God, I'm repeating those same patterns. And why am I doing that? And why are my relationships this way?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's too late. I feel like that's why when people say they want to break the pattern, the generational patterns and the generational curses per se, it's almost impossible to do that unless you're a child that is has this epiphany and knows that what's happening is wrong and I'm going to do everything different.
And I think that's what my mom did because I I mean, they were 19 when they had me. So they were children having children.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest
I feel
child.
like that was normal to some families.
Normal back then.
Yeah.
But my mom decided that she was going to be a better mom. Like she was not going to drink and she was going to do the best she could. And, you know, even though they got divorced, she was a single mom, like doing the best that she could.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know. I joke that I'm the oldest child, that I'm bossy because I'm the child of young parents, you know, the oldest child. But yeah, I mean, they did the best that they could, I think. But she really did break the alcohol mold.
Yeah.
You know?
But then you wonder why the kids, that ends up, you know, passing down to the kids.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all of that starts with trauma very young, like your brother. He was 9 years old. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
He was
in the room when my stepdad died. Because my stepdad...
Was he the only one in the room?
No, I was too.
Okay.
I was too. You know, but I've always been really strong. Like, you know what I mean?
But you were also a lot older than him.
Yeah, I was a lot older. But my stepdad died of lung cancer. So here he is, this big country club manager, big time golfer. I think he was like 6'3". Now all of a sudden he's dying of lung cancer and it's hospice. And so, yeah, I mean, when he took his last breath, Anthony and I were in the room and it was traumatic. And for a 9-year-old, you know, I mean, it was hard on me. I can't even imagine what it was like for him.
Yeah.
So
what was his life like before that, like with his dad? Because he was an alcoholic and a big smoker. So what was his life like? Was he an alcoholic that affected the family, or he just drank a lot?
I mean,
because there's different levels of alcoholism, right?
Yeah, I feel like my stepdad, you know, being a general manager of a country club, was very much about appearances. So he would really talk to all of us about our weight. And here I was. So I felt like my childhood was about, you got to be perfect and you got to be, appearances. And, you know, and I was a state champion runner. Like I went to University of Oklahoma for track. And so I was not heavy. Yeah. But my stepdad was always like, well, maybe you ought to like not eat that, or maybe you ought to do this.
Yeah, see, we had that too in our family a lot.
And I think for me and my brother Steve, we were very secure children anyway. But Anthony, I mean, that stuck with him. Well, I think that kind of created his eating disorder, which then being bullying by mean children about it. And then, you know, I think that's what led to his meth addiction. Yeah. You know, I mean, when people talk bad to you about your weight all the time, or they're constantly criticizing you and your parents are doing it to you, I mean, it can have some really bad results.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, you just never know what the triggers are going to be when you're a child. Because I mean, that was how we grew up too. Yeah. My mom, well, my grandmother, my mother's mother, was very vain. She was very much into appearances. You know, we had lived in New York, Italian, very into appearances. And she was like that with my mom. Yeah. And then, you know, my mom had an eating disorder, and that passed right along down to us too. Yeah. You know, my sister and I struggle with an eating disorder. I haven't for years, but it was definitely a mental thing. Yeah. You know, the bulimia, anorexia would go from one to the other. And it's about distorted body image because of what you grew up seeing or hearing. And it can happen to boys too.
Yeah, it happened to Anthony.
Yeah, and when you do that, when that happens, it sticks with you forever, no matter what. You know, here I am, the age that I'm at, and you're always, you know, looking at yourself saying, you know, am I good enough? Do I look good enough? You know, am I thin enough or fit enough or whatever it is, you know?
Oh, yeah, and I will not do that anymore. I look in the mirror, like even if I have to lose some weight.
Sure.
I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. And women
my mom and her sister went the opposite way too. They said, we don't care, you know, we're going to do this. So there's healthy ways to do that, right? Took me years and years to be okay with that. Yeah. But there's also unhealthy then too,
Right.
you know, where they say, I'm not going to be like that. And then you just emotional eat.
Yes.
And that's also a self-sabotage.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, exactly.
Because overeating is also an eating disorder,
it
right?
is.
Because you're mentally, it's all a mental thing.
It is. And being a stress eater, like I feel like I beat it a little bit. Like now it's like, okay, I just want to be healthy. I don't have to be skinny.
Totally.
I mean, I'm 54.
No.
I mean, it's not like I want to be in a
Yeah.
bikini on the beach, but I want
Right.
my clothes to fit.
Right.
That's it. But I also don't beat myself up anymore. I just can't do
Healthy
it.
mind, body, and
Yeah,
spirit is what it
exactly.
is. It's not, you know, it's not about that. It's about being healthy mentally and spiritually. And when you are, you feel good.
You do.
And it is all about feeling good, right?
It is. And I feel like, you know, and just look at our age, how many people are dying now.
Oh, yeah.
Life is so short. So I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm not going to eat that piece of cake because, you know, I got to be, you know, size 2.
Yeah.
No, it's like I could be dead tomorrow, but I still want to live my life and be happy, but I also want to be healthy.
100%.
So I've kind of taken that mindset of I just want to be healthy.
100%.
You know, not deprive because I'm so worried about what people think about me and I don't even know them anyway. Why do I care what they think?
No, exactly.
I
It's
don't
all
care.
about how you feel.
Yes.
But going back to addiction, you know, there's all forms of it. Like you said, even the shopping. I remember, oh my God, I used to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I knew every article of clothing in Nordstrom like weekly because I would go back to see what was new.
Yeah, because it makes you feel good about yourself.
And then it was really, really bad when I'd go back and there was nothing new because I was just there 2 days before.
yeah.
That's not good. So I did get over that too. But it's
Yeah.
all about that dopamine fix, that
Feeling
dopamine
good.
fix when you're looking for something because you're not happy with whatever
Yeah.
it is that's inside of you,
Because
right?
my friends would say, because I would be decked out, and they'd be like, "You're not happy, are you? You are decked out. Like
You're decked out.
Dripping
Where are you going?
in like Gucci.
Where are you going?
Yeah, where are you
Nowhere.
going? Where are you
Nowhere.
going? Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm
going to the office.
Just going to my office so that I can pretend like I'm, you know, happy. But yeah, I mean, shopping addiction is something too. I called it retail therapy.
Of course.
I just got rid of 15 bags of clothes. Like it's like disgusting. So I think that
know.
kind of cured me for a little bit because I'm like, I don't want to buy anything. I don't
know.
want
I
anything.
did that with shoes. Oh my God. Like I literally was getting rid of a bunch of shoes that I never wore, but I had to have.
Yeah.
Like I never wore them.
Right.
I loved them. Like I like the way they look. Like we should just have a display of shoes
Yeah.
and bags. Because it just should be decoration.
Right.
Because if it was just decoration, it would be worth it.
Yeah.
But I literally would get rid of like these really cute shoes. And I go, oh my God, that was $200.
Yeah.
Oh, that was $250. Oh,
Right.
that was count up all the shoes. And I'm like, I hate you right now.
Right. And now you're selling more houses so that you can buy more shoes that you don't wear.
Exactly.
I know. It's a thing. You know,
is a thing.
It is. And I donated them all to a homeless shelter.
That's
like all
so
these
amazing,
battered
though.
women, like
Yeah, that's
15
great.
bags of clothes.
Because a lot of those people need to find
Yeah.
jobs and they need, you know, they need Gucci shoes.
Yeah, right. They're gonna have they won the lottery with my 15 bags of clothes. But you know what? That's a good way to get rid of stuff to think somebody else really needs this.
100%.
And I don't. Like I don't need all that. And so just the fact that I was able to give it to somebody who really needs it made me really happy about
Plus,
that.
with our career, like I would have the excuse to myself that I needed it for work because I had to go look good because I had these appointments. And
Yeah.
back in the
Right.
day when I was selling bank properties, I did travel a lot and I did have to go to conferences. And you know, you don't want to get seen in the same dress, you know,
Right,
twice, God
right.
forbid.
Yeah.
So I did that a lot. But I mean, these days we don't need it.
No.
I mean, I don't see the same clients
No.
in the same outfit, you know.
Yeah, and
so-
I don't need Gucci shoes because then they're like, you make too much money. Stop
oh,
it.
yeah, no, I don't.
Just kidding.
We don't need that.
Just be normal.
We don't need that.
We
nobody,
don't need that.
Nobody is
I don't need
impressed by that.
No, nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares.
Anyway, we're so off topic right now.
Anyway, sorry.
But no, we go down rabbit holes on this channel.
Okay,
Okay,
good. Okay, good.
But I wanted to get back to the addiction part because, you know, we've talked about this being obviously a family sport, right? We
Yes.
called it the family sport.
Yes.
And, nobody knows the rules of the games, really. We really don't, because there's no manual to that sport. There's no
No.
manual to the game. It's just the game of life, right?
Right,
And
right.
nobody really knows how to do it. So since there's been so much more research and so much more talk and awareness about addiction, there's been a lot now on recovery online,
Right,
and about
right.
AA and NA, and those not being the optimal programs, really. I mean,
Yeah.
statistics shows, and you might want to, Cam, start pulling up some stats. Here's where I want to start getting into stat stuff. There are online programs that you can actually be a part of communities that can actually help you quit drinking and stay sober
Yes.
differently than AA. And I'm not knocking AA, because I know AA has absolutely saved many, many souls, and NA and, Overeaters Anonymous and all those. But there's so many different communities now online. And I just listened to a YouTube channel. Actually, it was not a channel, but I was on one of the channels that I listened to. She was a therapist, and she got into addiction because she had seen one of her loved ones die from alcoholism, and then another friend of hers had also OD'd. So when
Yeah.
she was going to school, she got into addiction in that field. And she talks about community. She talks about how, going to rehab, she didn't really feel like rehab was that helpful, because when you go to rehab, you might be sober for 30 days, but they don't really get into a lot of the meat
Right.
and community. And when you go into a rehab, you feel like it's almost like a stigma. You're bad. But it really is a disease, though. I mean, it is a
Yeah.
disease. When somebody says, just stop doing it, it's almost like saying, just stop getting cancer, or,
Right.
stop your mental illness. And I hate that term, mental illness. I like
know.
I like to have a little softer term, like, emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Or, I'm starting to feel differently about how you deal with people with addiction, because it stems from way back. There's a reason why. And there's been a few people on the channel that have said, hey, it's real easy. Just stay out of jail. Just stay out of jail. But I will tell
Right.
you, I don't know anybody that has actually gone out and had a few drinks at a restaurant and drove over the limit of what you should be, and could have had a car accident and could have killed somebody, or could have ended up with a DUI and gone to jail.
Absolutely.
I know I have.
Yeah. I mean,
So when people say stay out of jail, okay, well
Right.
then that means you
Yeah.
should also not drink and drive. And I think that there's way more awareness now. Like, people will take an Uber,
yes.
but I mean, I know I've drank and shouldn't not have got behind the wheel of
Me
a car.
too. We all have it. We're
by
all
the-
honest.
And by the grace of God, I never went to jail.
Yeah.
I never got pulled over.
Right. Right.
And I also, when I was a teenager and was dealing with my own shit, I did drugs. Like I, because of my upbringing and lack of nurturing, my mother was a great mother. Like, she did the best she could, right? My dad was absent for a lot of years, but he did the best he could.
Right. Right.
But because of my upbringing, I also, did not know how to cope.
Yeah. Right.
And you end up doing things that you normally would not do if you
Absolutely.
had the tools
Right.
to understand things. So when people say stay out of jail, sure, that's
Right.
great. But when people end up in jail, what do they do for them?
Right.
The lady that I listened to on the podcast, she talked about when you go to jail, that what do they do for you? 90 the percentage of people that are in jail have emotional issues.
Absolutely.
They have been traumatized as children. No matter what somebody's trauma is, everybody's trauma is different. And that's why I was
Right.
asking you about, your brother and your family, because, and even with eating and retail therapy or whatever it is, gambling, sex,
Yes.
whatever it is, you are doing something to fill something within you
Right.
that didn't feel good for whatever reason it was. And it always stems back to what happened in your childhood or what happened as a teenager or whatever it is, right?
And that's your coping skill.
That's your coping skills.
Yeah, alcohol and drugs. Luckily, I didn't get addicted to it.
Right.
I'm like you. I've drank, I've done some drugs.
Right.
I've never gotten addicted to it because of just watching my family. Right. Now, that being said, it's so hard to judge people because that's their coping mechanism. They're in so much pain that that's what they do. And as a family member, I used to tell my brother, I'm like, oh my God, suck it up. Stop it. Get off the drugs. What are you doing? You're ruining our family.
Yeah.
You're doing this. Like you could do this.
Yeah.
My mom probably spent her life savings on rehab. Now, Lisa, I know free rehab centers now.
Yeah.
So I'm very big at helping people that are addicted. Hey, I can get you probably into a free rehab. I will do some research for you. Like I've made it kind of my goal to help people with this. Because when my family was going through it, I mean, I'm going to tell you, my mom probably spent $300,000 on rehab.
100%.
And it didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is because my brother didn't want it. And I told my mom, you cannot want this for him.
Yep.
He's got to want it for himself. He's going for you to appease you. It's going to cost you $200,000 to $300,000, and it's not going to work. And I was right; it never worked.
Did he? Yeah, because like you said, he's got to want it.
He didn't want it.
He's got to want it. I think that rehab needs to be restructured, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
you go into rehab and they treat everybody the same.
Exactly.
Like
And they're
treat
not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah, my brother had an eating disorder.
Yeah.
They should have treated him for that. Why are you doing
100%.
meth? Well, because you got an eating disorder. And so
And I would say a lot of that was mine too. Because
probably.
when I would do, of course, I lived in Southern California and it was in the 80s when, everybody was doing some coke when they went out,
Right.
So it wasn't like it was that kind of addiction because we would just go out and go to, if we were going to a party, that's what we would do.
Oh, yeah.
But when you then start to have these eating issues and you know that, and then it spirals out of control. I mean, at one point I was 82 pounds.
Yeah.
And just like nothingness.
Right.
It was really scary.
And my friend's son, I had just got him into rehab for his heroin addiction. I can't even make this story up.
Yeah.
So I get him into rehab for his heroin addiction. I get him a free bed in this rehab center. And so I called him and I said, listen, your mom's gonna come to Florida. She's gonna come and get you, and then we're gonna get you into this rehab center. And he was so excited. Well, he decides that he's gonna do coke one last time. So
I
the
feel
coke,
like that everybody's.
yeah, well, you can't
that
do
with
this
their
anymore. It was laced with fentanyl, and it killed him. Okay, so his mother.
Yeah, I've
went to-
heard that
it's
so much.
ridiculous now. Like, so I mean, if anybody takes anything out of this podcast that we're doing, the drugs today, like you have to be so careful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
The
fentanyl wasn't around back then.
And this coke sometimes is laced with
Oh
fentanyl.
yeah, all of it.
It's
all
terrible.
Of it is.
It's so terrible now.
Even pills that these kids are taking, that they're a pill.
Yeah, one pill, they do it, and then they're dead. Like, and their parents have to bury
and
their
never
child.
done it before.
No.
No.
It's not like it was, I think, when you and I were young.
If it was recreational, just here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, drug addiction is way worse.
It
now,
is so
for
bad.
sure.
It is so bad. And I just feel so sorry for everyone that's trapped in that world, and, family members like us that have to deal with it too. And, both of my cousins, they were so beautiful, and they both drank themselves to death. One was
How
48,
old were they?
48 and 50.
Wow.
And so now, I mean, their kids now are dealing with their mothers.
Yeah, so then let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't know anybody that has said they don't have addiction in their family, whether
Everyone
it's
does.
drugs or alcohol. Nobody.
I'm not
And if
embarrassed
they
of
say
it.
that, that's a lie.
Oh yeah, and so many people are so embarrassed to share their story. I'm not,
No,
because I'm
well,
like,
of
if
course.
my family's horrible luck with addiction can help one person or one parent that's dealing with a child,
But why would you even have to be embarrassed or ashamed? And because it's such, why? I mean,
Well,
it's not a stigma anymore
Yeah.
to have, even if it is you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm fine. Like, I'm an open book about my life.
but you and I are like that.
could care less.
I know, but so
what
many people
think.
care. They care what other people think, and they don't even know those people. Like,
Yeah.
why are we worried about what other people think that we don't even know them anyway? Why do we care? But a lot of people do. They're so wrapped up in what other people think.
And they hide behind
Yeah,
that.
but
Because
you and
they
I
have
don't.
issues too.
Yeah,
They all have issues.
we all
Everybody
do.
has issues.
Right.
But let's go back to the.
Yeah.
So you've got addiction in your family. You've had cousins and your brother died, and they were young.
Yep. Yeah.
So then let's talk about that. I mean, so it's generational, right? So it's. What do we do? What do we do about that? We talk about alcohol. People act like alcohol is not a drug. It's the worst drug, actually.
is really
It
bad.
kills more people than drugs do.
Yeah.
And
it
when
does.
people are like, oh, I only drink, I've never done drugs. Really? Because you're doing drugs.
alcohol's probably
Alcohol's
worse.
the worst drug.
Yeah, I agree with
and
you.
it kills people. So I don't know. I mean, what's the answer? What's the answer for society with this to try and bring more awareness to this, more awareness to the fact that let's, go back to incarceration, because this is what this channel is about. There are probably 98% of those people that have some kind of addiction. Why are they in prison? Yeah, they've done something against the law, but
Right.
why are they not being helped? In other countries, their prisons don't
Right.
look like.
Why are we not giving therapy in the jails? Why are we not, I mean, I actually went to Al-Anon. I mean, it was a wonderful thing for me. I've got a lot of friends who have beat addiction with AA. I mean, I don't know, bring maybe AA into the prison. I don't know.
Well, it
but
is. That
is it?
definitely is in
I
the
don't-
prisons.
I don't know.
I just think that they shouldn't be treated like animals. And that's how they are treated.
I know.
They're not treated like they have an emotional issue. They're treated like they're animals because they're in there.
Right.
Where they should be getting the help that they need. And then it's got to go to the kids,
Right.
before kids go to juvenile hall, they need to have the help. And I
Yeah.
think that it's getting better, but there's not enough awareness. There's not enough of that.
I agree.
We need some wellness centers for people that actually deal with, mind, body, spirit type of situations where it's zen instead of
Stress.
stressful.
Yeah.
Cam, what are you coming up with there?
There's a couple things, but it's hard to find the exact data, and Chad's even telling me that too, because these online communities have been such like a new thing that people are trying to like track
Yeah.
the success rate because it's all individual based.
Right.
But I mean, I have seen that online based communities have a slight better recovery rate after 1 year than normal rehab. Like more people turned online communities because frankly, I think it's because these communities dive deeper than just like a surface. So you're addicted to something. So we're just
Sure.
going to do a one size fits all. These communities, these people like to dive in deeper. And I think that's why there's a better success rate. Like when
Yeah.
people are in a room where they feel welcomed and not forced, like you were saying,
Yeah.
it just
Right.
makes sense that naturally these people want to get better. But as far as I'm seeing that, it's a little too early to tell
Yeah.
a success rate, but what they do see and like what I'm seeing right now is that there's a slightly higher 1 year success rate.
Yeah.
And people
because
would
they're
rather
so new. It's so-
exactly.
yeah.
And people would rather go to these online recovery communities because one, some of them are free and they're a heck of a lot cheaper than rehab facilities and they're way more accessible. So it's saying that the people that do even like relapse, they'd rather go to the online communities because they feel safer and it's cheaper.
Yeah, and it's all about community too.
Exactly, it's
Because
all about
when you go
community.
to a rehab, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that it's important if you are addicted to the point where you've got to be in a in an environment where you're not going to be able to get out or you've got a structured environment, because if you're not in that facility, you're going to go, down the street and go get whatever you're going to go get.
Right.
But I think that the communities, you need like a tribe. You need tribes.
Yeah, you need your people.
You
that
need your
support
people
you, that aren't judging you.
Exactly.
That
are lifting you up.
Yes.
And not saying, like
tearing
you
you
said,
down.
yeah, why? Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop doing it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I have to say with Tiffany, I've thought about this a lot, Siege, with her. I think for years it was so hard for me to be okay with her and not be mad at her and not judge her, because I saw a lot of her in me. And people would say that all the time. And even she'd say it too, and it would piss me off. She's like, I'm just like you, Mom. I'm just a younger version of you. And maybe I got in more trouble than you. And I went to jail, but I'm just like you. And I would hear that, and I would feel not only guilty because I couldn't help her, but judging her because I didn't like myself.
Right.
I didn't like what I saw in her about who I was as well. So it was like, looking in the mirror. But I think because I feel differently now, we're so much better. I mean, we are so tight now, and we'll bicker. Like, we had an argument this morning. It's like...
all families do.
Yeah.
All families do.
But now when we do, we just both walk away and, mumble under our breaths and leave. But I think that when you, like back in the day, you had your tribe. I mean, I know that, there's still people that live in the same community. I mean, I have an aunt and uncle that all their kids still live in the same area, and they've got, 500 grandkids, and they're all tight, you know, and they all lift each other up, and they all help each other.
Yeah.
Whereas there's so many people now, society is just all split up and everybody's everywhere. And you don't have your people that are loving you and lifting you up. And I feel like we need more of that. Instead of judging, saying, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Or making you feel less than because you've got an issue.
Yeah. And Anthony had and it was hard because, here I am, top producing agent. My other brother's a federal agent, okay? And then here's our little brother who's a meth addict surrounding himself with other meth addicts.
Yeah, because those are his people.
Those are his people.
Those were his people.
Of course, me and my other brother don't like his people.
Of course.
Okay?
I think CJ and Whitney could relate to that too. They love their sister, but it was like, who are these people?
Right. And then, and the saddest part ever, you guys, this was the saddest day of my entire life. I will never probably recover from this one day. So when my brother died, it was on a Tuesday. I'll never forget it. And, my life is somewhat normal that day. By that night, my little brother is dead. And, so they're getting his body out of the house before my mom sees it because it's so horrific, because he did meth and he'd been dead for 2 days. Okay.
Wow.
So it was traumatic.
He in your mom's house? Or?
Nope. He was in a house that my mom and I owned.
Oh,
we bought it for him.
Okay.
So that's a whole nother shit show with how I sold that.
Yeah.
4 times the legal limit for meth, and I had to sell it. Anyway. That's,
whatever.
So anyway.
Fun.
So here we are. Our life is changing forever now. Okay. My poor mother is falling apart. And all I keep thinking is, I had a lot of guilt. Okay. I had a lot of guilt because I used to tell my brother, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to kill yourself, and in his deal, F you, Rhonda. Exactly. You don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And I was always trying to get him to stop doing it. Anthony, stop it. You're ruining our life. This is the bad part. So this was the worst day of my life. Telling his son that his dad died.
Oh, God.
Now,
How
what
old
people
was
don't
his
know, he's about Anthony's age when his dad died. So he was about just turning 9. Okay. So his mom never did drugs. His mom's a really good mom, but of course my brother could never step up and be a dad. So the meth was more important than his child. So my other brother, Steve, we go to tell Christian that his dad died. So we're sitting there, and he's really smart. And so I said, Christian, there's something that I have to tell you. And he looks at me, goes, my dad's dead, isn't he?
Ugh.
Oh God. So
That's just the worst.
I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe right
Yeah.
now. So I started like crying. My brother, Steve, is crying, and his mom's like, hey, I brought you along to like help me with this. And look at you two idiots. Like, we're just like,
Of course.
you know. And so Christian looks at me and he goes, and he's 9, Aunt Rhonda, I hate drugs. I hate drugs so much. So I thought, okay, well, this is going to break the pattern.
How old is he?
He's right now, he is, I think Christian, God, I'm so embarrassed that I don't know how old he is. He's like, I love him so much, but I think he's like 13 or 14 now.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's
That's
doing
awesome.
great because his mom is very much about, hey, drugs are bad. Your dad had a problem with it. You don't have to live this way. He's very smart. He's on the honor roll. Like, I don't see him doing it.
And
don't.
that's so amazing because that's why it's so crazy because you can go one way or the other, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He could go down the
He could have
road.
been like, my dad didn't love me enough. My dad loved drugs more than me.
Right.
You know, or my dad was this way, I'm going to be like my dad. They could go the complete opposite like he's doing.
He's going the opposite.
And saying everything he was, I don't want to be.
Right. He's like, I hate drugs.
Yeah.
Drugs killed my dad. You know, and he's not wrong. And so I love the fact that he's not the victim mentality.
Yeah.
He's not. Like, his mom's very good about that. My mom's very good about, we're all very good about, hey, Christian, this happened, has nothing to do with you. Your dad did love you. He just didn't love himself. Okay.
Yeah.
So how is he going to love you if he didn't love himself?
Yeah.
Right. So if I felt like if my brother Anthony really loved himself enough or really wanted the help, that he could have been better.
Of course.
Because he didn't want, he was the victim mentality. He didn't want the help. You know what I mean?
And I know
that sounds so bad.
No,
to
I mean,
say,
no,
but,
it is. No, it's true because there are a lot of people, and I've seen them a lot that won't admit that it's them.
Yeah.
Because until you stop blaming everybody else for your problems,
we all have childhood issues.
Of course. Absolutely. Oh,
you know?
Absolutely.
It's like,
I mean, it does get to the point where you're responsible for your own shit. You know, I mean, we've talked about that in our family.
Oh, yeah.
I am not all about that.
Yeah.
I am not all about that because I've had my own shit.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, guess what?
yeah, my mom had the
You
worst.
are who you are, and you
exactly.
get to make your own decisions.
Right.
And you get to grow up and be who you want to be.
You can be the victim in it. Like my mom had the worst childhood. Okay. Her dad was a raging alcoholic. She said that he was a builder in Denver. I mean, he built houses. And there was one day that they lived in a house that he had built, and he was drunk and he was laying on the couch shooting his gun up through the floor.
Oh, God.
My mom said she didn't know if she was going to be shot or not. Like literally she's like, oh my gosh, my dad is crazy. And then she wanted to borrow his car one time and he shot all 4 tires off the car. Okay.
Yeah.
This is my
People
mother's
were
childhood.
crazy back in the day.
But you know, so instead of being a victim of like, my dad was a crazy person,
Yeah.
like she decided, hey, this isn't gonna hold me back
I'm
in
gonna
my
be
life.
like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a successful woman. I'm not gonna worry about any
What
of
was
that.
her mom like?
Okay, so her mom, like I loved my grandma, don't get me wrong, okay? But her mother was very much into playing into that. Like you know what? Making excuses for him. He used to beat the crap out of her. And then she'd make excuses for him.
That's how it was back then too.
That's how it
because
was.
divorce wasn't
Yes.
a thing.
Nope.
And
No.
the shame
Yeah.
and you're not going to be a single mom
Right.
raising kids
and,
at that.
and hopefully she's not embarrassed that I'm airing this.
I know.
But at the same time, I'm saying my mom had the worst childhood. Like her parents did the best they could, I guess, with that. But
Don't we all say that?
yeah,
We did the best we could with
you know
what we had.
Exactly, but
Because it's true.
Yeah, but I mean, my childhood wasn't great growing up with my stepdad alcoholic and my
Right.
divorced parents. But I'm not a victim. Like,
No.
I have my own life. I'm not
Totally.
going to worry about all that. I'm not going to look behind me and worry about all that. I want to look at my future and my life is short and I'm not promised tomorrow. So I can't worry about all of that.
No.
Right. I have to let that go. And I have to be like, okay, well, hey, I'm hanging out with you. I love you so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so lucky and blessed with the things that I have in my life. And I don't want my past or my family's past to ruin my future.
Life is so short.
is
It's
so
about just
short.
being positive.
Yes.
It really is. And you manifest your own destiny.
Right.
And if you're a victim and you stay in that victim mentality and you keep on putting out to the universe or, whatever you believe, that's what you get back.
Absolutely.
That is what you get back. If you're going to be a martyr, if you think you're here to be a martyr, you're going to have a miserable life.
It doesn't work well. And it just, we're just not promised. So you might as well have fun, right? You might as well, I'm committed to not beating myself up, lifting other people, using my stories of my past to maybe help somebody. Like if this podcast helps one person understand that addiction's real, it's a horrible thing. All families have some sort of it in their family.
Yep.
And parents that are dealing with children that are addicted is the hardest thing ever. My mom sits there and goes, Rhonda, I just enabled him to his death. And so she has so much guilt over it. I'm like, Mom, you can't do anything.
It's really sad because you can
so
go the
hard.
other way around, and that I'll find a link to that we can put on the channel for that interview that I heard, because it can go the other way too.
Yes.
Because she was talking about because they asked her, what was one of the hardest stories that you had? Because she was a therapist that was dealing with people with addiction. And she said one of the hardest stories was I was dealing with a young adult, and his mother was in public housing, but his mother was his support. Like she loved him and he lived with her. Otherwise he'd be homeless. And then she was in a situation where her public housing was going to kick her out if he was there.
Oh, no.
And instead of her losing her public housing, he left so that she wouldn't get kicked out. And he was found in between two cars. He had overdosed by himself. And he was doing okay living with his mom. So
I don't know. What's the answer?
So you know what I'm saying? So what's the right answer?
Yeah.
Because I've done the tough love with Tiffany.
Right.
I had to.
Right.
In my mind, I felt like I had to. I had a young, CJ was young, it was a lot. So when you're enabling, if it's making you sick or it's hurting your life, that's different.
Right.
But if you're doing it and that person isn't, hindering your life and you can handle it, maybe it's better, because maybe when you've got somebody that's lifting you up saying, I love you. You're worth it. You're worthy. Let me help you.
Right.
Why are you hurting? Instead of saying, what's wrong with you? Stop doing that. If I see you doing that again, you're out.
Right.
So what's the answer?
I don't know. So she just, obviously she enabled him and I enabled her. So we owned the house that he lived in.
Yeah.
He was a mechanic, brilliant, smart, really smart. But he didn't want a job. He just wanted to sit around and do meth. And so
that's usually what happens.
Right. I know.
I don't know very many functioning meth addicts or heroin addicts.
So he just sat around and did meth in the house that we owned. And so when he died, obviously I had to sell the house. It tested 4 times the legal limit for meth. So, of course, my office is giving me crap.
I just dealt with the meth house. That was fun.
Oh, it's so bad. So
that was fun.
It's not fun, right? So I
cost you a lot of money.
I lost $100,000. So
I was gonna say
I lost so much money. But what I did do is, I sold it to a meth mitigation company certified to the state.
Oh, so you did that? See, we mitigated that sucker.
Oh, I didn't have.
It was fun.
Yeah, no.
I think I talked to you about that.
Oh, yeah.
Remember I texted you and said, do you know a meth mitigation company? You're like, actually, I do.
Sure do. So I knew that I was going to lose money and I didn't want to deal with it. My office was not supportive. So I actually left and went to another office. Long story short, whatever. But so I got in the phone book and I started calling meth mitigation companies. And I'm like, I know that you say that you got to take it down to the studs.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was probably 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, because back then, there were not a lot of people doing that.
No, it was not an easy deal. And this was so funny. So Tri-County Health or whoever it was puts this red, huge sticker on the door. Condemned, Rhonda Courtney.
Oh, yeah.
I'm laughing. I tell my team, I go, hey, any marketing's good marketing. Look at me. I'm like selling my meth house now.
That's how I felt when I was selling all the REOs back in the day.
Yeah, so
and on the news.
Oh, yeah, the news.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, God. That was mine.
Good thing we're confident. I'm like, oh, I love my new signs.
Right.
Red, hazard, biohazard.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was so, and I wasn't even embarrassed. I told my team, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, not my
I like
fault.
my new,
Not your fault.
like my new real estate signs.
Yeah.
Condemned. Biohazard. But yeah, it was hard to sell it. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna put anyone in danger with this. So I'm gonna sell
you
it to a
can't.
mitigation company.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
Well,
how I
that
got
was
out.
smart actually because you owned it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
because
the
even
owner.
if you went through, and you're the realtor.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you went through the mitigation process, which I, helped my client. I know so much now about meth mitigation. You have no idea.
Call us. We'll help.
Yeah.
Lisa and I will co-list your meth house together. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Our new market. Our new market.
Our new marketing.
No thanks.
Hey, you got a meth house?
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it together. EXP and Remax.
We're your girls.
We're your girls. We'll help you with that. Yeah. I love to co-list.
Oh, absolutely. I know you do. Yes, you do. It's always better with two
It
or
is,
three.
especially with a meth house.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And then not only 4 times the legal limit, but then you got to test it again. Those tests are not cheap.
No, I know. I went there.
Yes.
It was crazy.
It is crazy.
I mean, it's expensive even when it's not.
Oh, yeah. To test for
even
meth,
a
that's why most
smidge,
people
but
don't.
the mitigation process,
Yeah. It's a hot mess.
Yeah, so you didn't have to, did they say that you were going to have to take it down to the studs? Because we didn't have to.
Yes. Some of the companies, because I called around. I had to do extensive research on this because I need to get out, right?
And every one of them tells you something different.
Everything
too.
different. You got to take it down to the studs, Rhonda. We can't wash the walls, Rhonda. We can't do this, Rhonda. Like, it was like wall after wall after wall. And then finally, I'm like, I'm not mitigating this.
Yeah.
I'm done.
There you go.
I'm done. So I
There you go.
I started
Take a
the
loss.
phone book. Yeah. And
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, okay, so I call this one guy. I'm like, I see that you are specialized in meth mitigation, but you're also in construction. So why don't you buy this thing?
Is that the guy that I talked to?
I gave you a lot of numbers. I'm not
that's the guy that I dealt with, actually.
Oh, probably. He was
pretty
very
sure.
good. And
Yeah.
I just ran all the numbers. I'm like, this is exactly what I'm gonna sell it to you for. This is how much it's gonna
I
cost
think his
you.
wife was a realtor too.
I don't maybe. I
Maybe
don't remember. I tried to block it out.
Pretty sure.
I think I was so traumatized I blocked it out.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think
Same
about that
guy
deal.
though, because
Probably.
he
Nice guy.
does. Yeah, super nice guy.
Yeah, and
remember
really,
his name.
so they didn't take it down to the studs. He was able to wash the walls, but a lot of times they don't want to do that because it's more cost effective. They make more money to take it down to the studs.
Well, of course. Hello.
It's all about
'Cause
that.
It costs a lot
I
more.
know, right? But they can wash the walls.
I know.
Uh-huh.
But they take all the appliances out.
All of it,
Everything.
all of it. Yeah, even the
Everything.
storage shed outside tested for meth. I'm like, tear that down.
Jesus.
I'm not mitigating that.
brother
I'm
just
done. I don't know what he
marked every part of the house.
Place in that house was 4 times the legal limit
Was
for
he
meth.
smoking it in there?
Oh, it gets bad. So he was smoking it, but then
Okay.
he decided to shoot it up. Okay.
Oh,
so shooting it up, that's just a whole next level. Like they get super weird when they do that. Paranoid, awful,
wow.
horrible to deal with. But he did both. He smoked it and he shot it up.
But the smoking is what did the
smoking
because he
is what-
wasn't cooking it.
No,
But
no, he
this-
wasn't.
But just smoking
no,
it
he wasn't.
enough.
He didn't cook it or
The
sell
legal
it.
the legal limit is very low. Very low.
Yeah.
In fact, and it might have been that same guy. He told me, Lisa, the legal limit is so low that if you went into a Starbucks bathroom, I guarantee you, it's probably a Starbucks bathroom probably would test higher than the house that we just tested.
Probably.
Because people have it on the on them or
Yep.
they touch something. Yeah.
Whatever. It was everywhere in
Anyway,
this house.
rabbit hole,
Oh,
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Anyways.
Time wise.
About 50 minutes.
About 50 minutes. Okay, we're gonna probably wrap it up because we're trying to keep these shorter. But this
Yeah.
was such a great topic,
Yeah.
so Really glad to
Good.
have you on. What would you like to say to everybody just closing up here? And do you have any words of wisdom for families that have been dealing with this?
Well, I think, all families have some sort of addiction in their family, right? And I feel like what you said, they need to join communities or, but what I will leave everybody, if they do not want help, it does not matter how much you want it for them. It is not going to work.
That's
if the
100%
addict
true.
does not want help, it does not matter. They are not going to get help.
No.
No matter how much we want it for them.
And I absolutely 100% believe that for sure. But if there's a glimmer of them wanting the help,
Absolutely.
you got to, build off of that because you're right. If they don't want the help, no amount of money, no amount of love is going to save them.
And that's the hard part. I think that's the hardest part about dealing with addiction.
Yeah.
Because if you want help, there's plenty of help out there.
Yeah.
So the people that want help, if you really want help, there are free rehabs. There are support groups. There are things that you can do.
Yep.
But if you don't, the family has got to be able to understand that no matter what we do, it's not going to matter.
Yeah. And you can't, the guilt part,
The guilt.
you don't get anything out of guilt.
No.
Nothing.
No. I had guilt for 2 years.
When has guilt ever actually served anybody?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
So
Anyway, we love you guys. We're gonna link some resources in the channel below, and
In the description.
in the description.
Click on the
Sorry.
description below if you'd like to see some resources that could help you or a loved one with
Yes.
any kind of rehabilitation.
Yeah, we're gonna have all that, and also suicide hotline links as well, because when you're dealing with any kind of addiction or any kind of depression, suicide's a big deal too. And hopefully, if you're out there and you're needing that help, that we will be able to help in some way. And I know we never say it during the
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We never say it during the outro or in the middle of the channel, but most of you that watch it are not subscribed. And if you love us and if you would like more of this, and if you think that it would be helpful for us to get this out, please please subscribe, please share, and leave us a comment. And we love you from the inside out.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. I appreciate it.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
From the inside out.
I don't wanna